It's time for Lumberjacks.
Lumberjacks is sponsored by Echo, only professional grade with 5-year warranty. Crown, protect, maintain, save. K100, for all your gas-powered equipment, make water burn. Yamaha, rev your heart.
We're here for the exciting conclusion of the Johnny Appleseed Festival Lumberjack Competition. It's the 10th annual this year, and we got a great field of competitors. In total, 77 competitors competing for over $14,000 in prize money. This week, we're featuring the Underhand Chop, the Hot Saw, and the Single Buck. Well, our field of competitors includes men and women from all over America. We do have a few Canadians in the field: Janet Walker from Nova Scotia, Marcel Dupuis from New Brunswick, Mitch Hewitt from British Columbia, and from Lake Dalrymple, Ontario, one of the top axemen from Canada, Cecil Starr. Cecil, not your first time here at the Johnny Appleseed Festival, but it seems that competitors are getting better every year. This week we're covering the Underhand Chop and the Hot Saw. Just tell me how you're going to place in the Hot Saw and the quality of competitors that are here.
Oh, well, hot saw, as you know, can be anybody's game. I'm having a pretty good year with it. You know, you still cut out once in a while, but I ended up taking third at the World Championships in Hayward. Just go out there, and all you can do is go out and run and hope you go for it. There's no holding up in hot saw. It's all go, and there's a lot of great operators and, you know, great motors. Like, it's getting so much more competitive than, 20 years ago when I first started doing this. One guy had a 250 and he cleaned up. Now man, there's 18, 20 guys that can win out there.
Into the home stretch here at the Johnny Appleseed Festival with only a couple events to go. Mitch Hewitt, our Canadian from British Columbia, leading the way with 350 points, and a bunch of guys hot on his heels. Jason Lenz, Matt Koger Jr., and Dave Van Gasser, all trying to track him down. Right now I'm with my co-host, Lumberjack sport analyst Rod Cumberland. Rod, we're heading into the Underhand Chop. In total, we had 25 competitors. We're showing the top 3 heats. We got big wood here, Rod. We got 15 inches round of white pine. It's a challenge for even the best competitors.
Biggest challenge because they don't practice on wood this large, and also they don't chop it into competition. So most guys, the patterns that they're used to using go out the window here now. So it's really anybody's game as far as how they're going to chop this wood. And actually, the bigger, stronger guys stand a good chance of coming out on top.
This first heat is featuring Trevor Beaudry and Chris Henning. Chris Henning has won a number of competitions the last couple of years. His underhand chop game has really come around. He's taken on Trevor Beaudry, a guy from the East. You've seen him a lot out there.
He actually graduated from the University of New Hampshire. Big, tall, strong lad. He actually finished really well a few years ago in the rookie division. You can see him here doing a great job on this big piece of wood, keeping a good, fast pace.
Chris Henning may be a strong hitter, but right now Trevor Beaudry is outpacing him with the swings of the axe. Both guys are on their backside. Look at the pace by Trevor Beaudry, swinging that axe, and he's accurate. Chris Henning well behind right now, a big slab coming out of his wood.
And it looks like Trevor Beaudry just about ready to drive things off here in the 15-inch, and Trevor Beaudry does drive it off with a time of 32.8. He's going to set the time to beat.
And Chris Henning is taken down by Trevor Beaudry. With wood that big, it's hard to stick to a pattern, but I did hear the announcer say right out of the gate, Trevor Beaudry's got a melon. How'd you feel about your piece of wood?
It definitely cut really well. I was planning I'd put 4 hits in, see where I was, and kind of adjust, because, as you said, it's a large piece of wood, so it's hard to go in with an exact plan. And I got a little squirrely and put a couple more than I really probably needed, but it came apart really well, and it cut really well, too.
So when you had to modify your plan, you put in 4, was it just ad-libbing the rest of the way through, or did you get to any kind of a pattern?
Basically what I did was I took 2 rounds of 4, and then I won the bottom, I'm pretty sure, and just drove 3. Threw 3 drivers in just to be safe, because it's a big piece of wood, so you might as well make sure you're there in the front, because it pays off.
Good, solid chop there by Trevor Beaudry. He talks about going a little bit squirrely. I've never heard that term before, going squirrely during the middle of an underhand chop. What about you, Rod?
When you get a big piece of wood like that, well, actually what really throws you is a big piece of wood, and then it chops nice. So all of a sudden you don't really know, and I've been there. I've been standing on top of the block not knowing where's my next swing going to go, and you can see he actually does put 3 more drivers in there before he turns. Good on him, because the block come off a lot easier as we get into watching Jamie Koger with a feverish pace here in the underhand chop.
Fantastic heat here for heat number 2. We got Jason Lenz taking on Matt Koger and Arden Koger Jr., 3 world-class competitors, all living in the United States.
Matt Koger, the last guy to start side number 2 here, so he's got a little bit of catch-up with Arden Koger, and Jason Lentz way ahead of him here now in the underhand chop.
Looks like Arden's a little bit narrow there, and his pace is slowing, his axe is sticking a little bit, and it looks like he may have wounded himself, and Matt Koger drives things off, and Matt Koger wins the heat in 30.63, good enough for second place, as Chris Bradshaw is going to win the underhand chop in an earlier heat. Great race there. Just tell me if you look at the other competitors go first to see how the wood is reacting, how the wood is moving, going in the last heat. Is that a little bit of an advantage at all?
Yeah, it gives you a little bit of advantage just being in that last heat. You know, you get to see everybody chop, see how the wood's responding. You know, sometimes I make a good judgment call off of that, you know, but yeah, in the underhand especially, you get a chance to try your axes, and, you know, then you can kind of decide what you're going to do from that. But no, just the big log like that, you just set up and you just chop it till you're ready to turn. Just go from there, and if you're first, you're first. If you're last, you're last.
Well, he wasn't first or last. Matt Koger came in second with a 30.63. Chris Bradshaw in an earlier heat just edges him out with 30.25 seconds. Welcome back to Sheffield, Pennsylvania and the Johnny Appleseed Festival. Events like this just don't happen without terrific sponsors. Jimmy, you've been involved with the Johnny Appleseed Festival for 10 years now. It's a festival in a small town. Just tell me about your involvement and why.
Well, I've been a sponsor for 10 years. Sandy Tilly and Christy Kolka planted the seed 10 years ago, and this event has grown every year since. It's infectious. You want to be part of the event any way you possibly can, and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Well, now, your business in general is here in Sheffield, but I noticed that other businesses, whether it's in Sheffield or the surrounding area, all get involved. Just tell me about how important it is for businesses, whether there's a return on investment or not, may not be important, but how is it important to be involved in a community like this?
Well, this particular town, it's a dying town. A lot of the businesses have gone out, and anything we can do to ingest interest in the community, it's only advantageous to us, to my business, to any business. And I mean, this is a small community, and we're going to have probably between 5,000 and 10,000 people here over the 3-day event, and it can only help, believe me.
And we are now going to move into the sawing game. It's called the Women's Single Buck. In total, we had 25 competitors from all over North America, including Canadian Janet Walker from Truro, Nova Scotia, taking on Deer River, Minnesota's Denise Ott, a veteran competitor that's been around for a long time. Her father, Gus Carlson, was into the sport well before her, obviously. They're cutting through 16 inches round of white pine.
Well, Janet Walker's been working a lot on her single buck game with JP Mercier. She's running a JP blade here, doing a good job with it, using big, full strokes. Denise Ott doing a great job here on the left as well, lifting a little bit high as she gets into the thickest part of the wood.
Her technique may not be perfect, but she's outpacing Janet. Her saw is dropping a little bit quicker, mostly because of the pacing. They're both down to the very small wood right now, and Denise Ott wins the first heat with a 21-21, just edging out Janet Walker. Excellent sawing by both women. Denise, it was clearly the experience that won that for you. You had some other people in that heat that were slightly ahead, but you were clean from the beginning to the end. Just tell me about the importance of using a full blade.
Oh, full blade for sure. You want to cut it clean. You can't waste any strokes. You got to cut your far wood, your near wood. There's all kinds of things to think about, but you got to use the whole thing. And if you got it and you feel it right, then you just pick up your pace from there.
We have a terrific field of women competitors here from all over the United States and Canada. Lindsay Down and Nancy Zaleski, traveling companions from Midwestern United States, about to do battle.
And they love the single buck, both of them very good cutters, and they left a little bit of room here. 21 seconds of time to beat right now. They know if they have a flawless cut, work that blade like they can, that they can actually drop this time by quite a lot.
Now Nancy Zaleski is a world record holder in this event. Lindsay Down, the current world champion from Hayward, Wisconsin earlier this year. Dave Jewett coaching her on.
And Lindsay has got a feverish pace here now. She gets through the thickest part of the wood, getting into the small wood at the bottom. Both saws dropping well, but it's going to be Lindsay Dawn here getting it done at 16.5, and she wins the women's single buck.
What a terrific effort there by Lindsay Dawn. I understand from your coach, Dave Jewett, that you won the World Championships this year, so it's tough to get to the top. It's often tougher to stay on top because everybody's trying to track you down. Do you feel any of that pressure?
A little bit. I won the World Championships when I was 17, and I haven't won it again until I was 28. So it is a super hard, challenging struggle. But once you win it, yeah, there's that pressure. You want to stay on top. And right after the championships, there was a competition that I didn't pull so great. So I think at this show, I really had to step it up.
So Dave Jewett was telling me, and that's what I'm referring to as your coach, whether he's your coach or not. He says you're not always as intense. This time you were really intense. The intensity level needs to be there.
Yeah, I think you always need to have that intensity, and I think sometimes it's a struggle to find that. I'm getting more confident. I'm learning what it feels like to do a great cut. So I just really wanted to win it.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much.
Well, the best single buckers in the world are here at Johnny Appleseed Festival this year. Lindsay Dawn besting the field with a time of 16.55 in the women's single buck.
And many thanks to all the organizers and sponsors of the Johnny Appleseed Festival, now in its 10th year, and the Lumberjack competition is a huge success every Columbus Day weekend in Sheffield, Pennsylvania. We have many of the best competitors from all over the United States and quite a few from Canada as well. In total, we're going to be showing you the top 3 heats in the men's single buck. Chris Bradshaw taking on Jason Lenz, 2 towers of powers from West Virginia.
And of course, that's what you need in the single buck. Big, strong guys that pull a long blade. Jason Lentz, a couple of bobbles here, getting his saw started. Chris Bradshaw, he's using really small, short strokes, but look at that blade eat this pine. Oh, Chris Bradshaw has a hang-up.
And Jason Lentz catches a raker as well. Just as things drop off, he comes in with a time of 14.49. We still have 2 strong heats to come. You had a great cut going there, and Slingerland just caught you at the very end. Just tell me what the bottom third of your cut.
Yeah, it was, the saw was a bit hungry. And like they said, I was over in Australia there the past 6 weeks or so, cutting hardwood, and it's a bit different to get back to and cut this softwood, but hung up there on the last stroke, and it cost me.
So I've had a few comments like that. The wood is really soft. An aggressive saw is going to make it very tough to pull, right?
Yeah, it does. The gullets fill up, and yeah, just not free.
Yeah, the problem there isn't necessarily the gullets filling up. I see Jason actually rocking the saw a lot. He's changing his angle a lot, and then he hit the toe of his blade, came back and actually stuck in the wood. So caused him all kinds of problems there, and he's going to wish he had that saw back.
Well, we have 2 heats yet to go. This is Matt Slingerland taking on Marcel Dupuis. Marcel, one of the best single buckers in all of Canada. Matt Slingerland, son of Mike Slingerland, who actually won that last heat against Jason Lenz. We didn't see him on camera.
And Matt has a really hard time starting out, but Marcel Dupuis wasting no time getting into his technique here in the single buck. He's sinking that blade really fast. Marcel's going to take this heat in 12.7 seconds over Matt Slingerland.
Terrific job there by Marcel, keeping that blade level all the way through the cut. Marcel, pretty good cut, a fantastic race there. Just tell me about your cut. You're looking at the wood afterwards. Were you happy with the way your saw was dropping?
Yeah, excellent. It changed, like on the top, the wood seemed to be a bit firmer, and on the middle it got a bit heavy. So I don't know if I changed my technique a bit or what happened, but it was harder to pull in the middle of the block.
So the guys before you were telling me that the wood is really soft, which means an aggressive saw is going to make it cut a lot faster, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Great job there by Marcel. Now he has the time to beat at 12.72 heading into this last heat. We got Adam LaSalle taking on Dave Jewett, a battle we saw earlier in the chopping event.
So this is a rubber match, and of course we know Dave Jewett wants his back, and of course this is Dave's event. He's a world champion at the single buck, and we're going to see him throw everything he has into the single buck.
Now here's a technique on the right-hand side by Dave Jewett. You can see him using all the blade, throwing that saw through the wood, pulling it back, cutting every inch of wood that he can.
And Dave Jewett's going to win the men's single buck here at Johnny Appleseed with a time of 12.1 seconds, showing his world championship form.
It looked like you were really laboring there. You know, there's something about the wood, but that wasn't a classic Dave Jewett song.
No, I you know, all the times leading up to this were in the 12-second range, and you know, this is a 9-second. This size wood, 9 seconds ought to win it. But I put the starter cut in. I go, holy cow! I feel like my saw's dull, but there was hard compression wood at the top. But all these logs are even, so I said, okay, let's just go for it. I was trying a new saw today that I bought, and we'll see. I don't know if I won it or not. I know I won the heat, but it's gonna be tight. Mike Slingerland's pretty fast.
So you were in a race there, and you knew you were in a race because you were giving it everything, and it just wasn't dropping.
No, it wasn't dropping, and which means I really got to push as hard and pull as hard as I can. I kind of lost my balance. I was leaning backwards, and no, it wasn't a classic cut, but I guess my confidence got thrown off a little when I saw how hard the log was. But you just got to adjust and toughen up, I guess.
Well, one of the key factors of a good lumberjack competition is evenly matched wood. Look at that range, 12-1-3 to 12-7-2 for the top 5 guys on the board, with Dave Jewett winning it. And we are heading into the last event of the Johnny Appleseed Festival Lumberjack Competition. In total, we had 77 competitors competing for over $14,000 in prize money. And always ending the events are the hot saw competitions. We had over 30 competitors competing in this. It's 3 cuts, 16 inches, no, actually 18 inches of wood in the white pine. This first heat, we're going to be featuring Matt Slingerland taking on Paul Koger.
And Paul Koger, of course, the father of Matt Koger, the reigning American champion right now, and he is no slouch at all in the hot saw event. I expect him to win this event.
Both guys into the wood at the exact same time. Both guys now in their third cut, and Paul Koger flawlessly wins this heat with a time of 6.10. A terrific display of hot sawing by Paul Koger from Diana, West Virginia. Paul, this is a game where experience means a whole lot. I mean, you just beat a bunch of young guys there. Just tell me about what experience means in hot sawing.
Oh, it's experience plays a big role in it because of a lot of these young guys, they want too much motor, and then they ain't got the experience of running them, and they get messed up a little bit with them.
And you've done it for many, many years, so you can just, you know what your capabilities are, you know what your saw can do, you can probably relax a little more, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's a lot more than these young guys.
Well, we still got 3 heats to go. 6.10 is time to beat by Paul Koger, Chris Bradshaw, Mike Slingerland coming up. Mike Slingerland, often known as Mr. Wood Miser. We've seen him for many years on Lumberjack TV series. And Chris Bradshaw, another guy from West Virginia.
Well, both guys really love to put the weight on this hot saw event when they get into the wood, and we're off and going. And Chris Bradshaw's the first guy in the wood. Mike Slingerland, all kinds of trouble on the right.
Chris Bradshaw wins the heat with a 6.08, and he takes the time to beat down by a couple of tenths of a second. Chris, you got to be happy with that run. Just tell me a little bit about your saw.
I'm tickled to death. This is the first time all year the motors actually seemed like it was on mark. So tickled to death. The thing of it is I'm switching it over to gas next year because I've been fighting it all year. It's on alcohol now, but it is a Honda CR250. It's got quite a bit of work done to the center, to the cylinder. But a friend of mine, Matt Price from down in Bedford, Pennsylvania, he assembled the motor. I got the frame from Mr. Cahoon out in California, but it's kind of depressing now. I finally got it to hit right, and I'm going to take it apart and rebuild it for gas next year.
Great job there by Chris Bradshaw. Lowers the time to beat down to 6.08. Still 2 heats to come. We got Canadian Marcel Dubuis taking on our host here at the Johnny Appleseed Festival, Nathan Waterfield. This should be a great race.
Well, Marcel Dupuis had a little bit of trouble this year running his own saw. At the big shows, usually he grabs Paul Woodland's saw and takes it down. I'll be interested to see what he's running here in this heat.
He's running a Paul Woodland saw. There it is. Nathan Waterfield into the cut. And great job there by Nathan Waterfield. Lowers the time to beat down to 5.39. That is going to be tough to beat with only 1 heat to go. Over the years, we've seen a lot of adventures from you with the hot saw, but that wasn't, we would call an adventure. That was pretty good.
Yeah, I've been working really hard on the hot saw. You know, initially when I started hot sawing, I was hot sawing just because it was another event that I needed to learn how to do. And over the years, you know, I kind of just put it off to the side, and it was just never trained. I just kind of ran the saw and expected to get better, and I never got better. So this year, over the winter time, got very serious with training, working on chains, working on my saw, and it's starting to come together. So now it's more or less making my 3 cuts. Fast is always there. So it's a good thing. It's fun to run the saws now, and I really enjoy it. So it's quite the difference than when I started.
I mean, it's a marriage between man and machine, and clearly you're apparently happily married right now.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's funny when guys are down on their luck and the hot saws aren't running well. They're all dirty. They're covered in oil and whatever. But the guys who, they start to have success, all of a sudden they start to clean them and take care of them. So it is funny how that relationship sort of develops.
Well, pretty much a flawless cut there by Nathan Waterfield. 5.39 is going to be very tough to beat going into only 1 more heat to go. Donald Lambert taking on Melvin Lenz. These guys can do it.
Well, the Rico man from Canada Donald Lambert. He's a veteran competitor from Canada, always awesome in the hot saw. And the king of the lumberjacks, Melvin Lentz, multi-time world champion. This ought to be a great race.
18 inches round, they're gonna have to be flawless. A little bit of a mistake there by Donald Lambert at the beginning of his first cut. Donald Lambert wins the heat as Melvin Lentz has struggles, but he's not gonna win the hot saw. Donald Lambert comes in with a 5.61. Nathan Waterfield wins the hot saw, Johnny Appleseed. Hey, you got that heat with 5 excellent sawyers there, and you had a big mistake.
Well, I was too close from the end of the log, so I just slipped out a little bit. So, well, that was not my plan, but, well, things happened.
Yeah, so, I mean, obviously your saw is running really well to be able to take on Melvin Lentz, Dave Jewett, Arden Koger, and Dave Engasser, and you still came on top with making a mistake. You got to be pretty pleased with that.
Yeah, well, I'm pleased. Well, basically what I tried to do, it's a good start to start it and put it on the wood. So, but I slip a little bit. So, time would be probably a little bit better. But well, I'm really pleased of winning that heat at least.
Thank you. Merci.
Bienvenue.
Always spectacular, the hot saw competition ending any good lumberjack competition. Nathan Waterfield does it to perfection with a 5.39.
And the crown pivotal point today focused on young Trevor Beaudry from New Hampshire. First time with the big guns, and he actually does really well, finishing in the top 5 in the Underhand Chop.
And our lumberjack overall standings here at the Johnny Appleseed Festival, both in the women's division and the men's division, are now in the books. Both divisions very, very close, with only 50 points separating the top competitors.
And the K100 Lumberjack and Lumberjill of the day puts a spotlight square on Peg Engasser and Arden Koger Jr., who win their respective divisions.
The growth in this event has been phenomenal over the last 10 years. Many thanks to Rick and Sandy Satili, Holly and Nathan Waterfield for putting it on. Come back again next time when it'll be time for Lumberjacks.
Lumberjacks is sponsored by Echo, only professional grade with 5-year warranty. Crown, protect, maintain, save. Quick Dam, the new alternative to heavy sandbags. Yamaha, rev your heart.
Been asked by different people about the importance of your starter cord. It's more than just a rope with a handle on it. It needs to be set up right so your saw is just beyond top dead center. It needs to be the exact number of turns you want that you need to start your saw with. A lot of guys run 2, 1 to warm up with, which is longer. You can't win a race, you can't start. Then hooked to it is a tether, not to be confused with a heather, which is a cute little girl from Canada. The tether is very important so my cord doesn't go fly over and hit another competitor. I use a pair of vice grips on mine. If I'm outside, if I'm getting ready to compete, just before the warm-up, something's loose, something's bad, I can use this. I can also snap it onto the stage. And it has to be. One time I tied onto a rake at a show. A guy came over to clean up, took the rake, and there my cord went as the starter went. I was out.